Hello, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Most of you have been doing a really great job about getting your work turned in. There's still about 6 or 7 of you per class period that are really struggling. Let me know if I can help you, but it's hurting you. So please get your act together or ask me for help. Figure out what you need and let's get you to where you need to be. So, what we did last class period was you wrote a book review organizer and you turned it in. Today, you are going to write the final draft of your book review. So let's open up today's lesson and see what you need to do. Book review final draft. Number 1, take attendance for today. So go back, find the attendance form, click it, submit the form. Number 2, view this video. You're doing this. Number 3, book review guidelines. So you're going to take the organizer from last class and my example on the second page of the organizer as your guide for how to create your final draft. You should include an MLA header, title, and formatting, double spaced, size 12, font size 12, Times New Roman or Arial. The book review should be almost exactly 1 page, front only. If it's 1 line over or 1 line under, it's fine. But other than that, you just need to edit it until it's exactly 1 page. This does not mean that you can use abnormal spacing and think, oh, well, my header, I'll just make my header take up 3/4 of the page. No, that's going to hurt your score. So just be sure you're using normal double spacing for the whole thing, and that it takes up 1 full page. Edit for grammar and conventions. This is an unassisted grade, which is a great thing. Some of you were getting worried that without unassisted grades, that your grade would forever be low from those Romeo and Juliet quizzes. So these are opportunities for you to change that. So this is an unassisted 10-point grade that is very black and white. If you do the assignment, you're going to do well. Book review is due this Friday at 7 p.m. So let's open up the example that we had from last class period. This was the second page on your organizer. So let's turn down to the second page. You will not write your final product until today. Today's the day you're doing it. Below is an example of what your final product will look like. And these are the detailed directions for your final product. So you're going to have an MLA header, which includes student name, teacher name, course name, and due date. Your name, my name, this is English 1 pre-AP, and the due date is, let's go back up, Friday the 24th. So you would write Friday, April 24th. And then you have a very clear title that is the same size font as everything else. And I wanted my title to be self-explanatory, so it is not interesting or unique. By all means, if you want an interesting, unique title, you should go for it. This is very different from a PEA-EAR because there is no PEA-EAR format. A PEA-EAR is analysis, and this is opinion. So don't even try to fit that analysis format because this is an opinion piece. It's very different. So if you don't want a unique title, you don't need to put one. I wanted to go ahead and include the title of my book and the author in the title of my book review. That's a solid bet. You have to include it somewhere, and so I decided to do this in the title. If it's not clear what the book title or what the author is anywhere, then your book review is not clear on what it's advertising. So if you want things to be nice and easy for you, just make your title look like this one. The book that I'm reviewing is Dear Edward by Anne Napolitano. And I read this book last week. It typically takes me like a week to a week and a half to read a book, sometimes longer. But I loved this book. I loved it so much. I'm going to tell you what it's about, and then I'll read you my book review. It's about a boy who goes on an airplane with his family and the plane crashes, but he somehow miraculously survives, and he has to figure out how to live his life now. And the book has flashbacks to characters who were also on the plane and what stage of their lives they were in and what they were going through during those last moments. It is so good. So I wrote a book review based off of these steps that you wrote up here. So I followed these steps exactly as I wrote here, and then I turned them into a book review. You will notice that I did not use all 2 to 3 cons or all 2 to 3 pros. I just focused on the ones I really wanted to include. So you are now going to narrow that down as well. So without further ado, I'm going to read you my book review. Let's move this face here. I'm going to grab something to drink real quick. Hold on. Okay. All right. When Edward survives a tragic plane crash, he is left to navigate his teenage years without his parents and older brother. Now living with his grief-stricken aunt and uncle, Edward must cope with his newfound fame and the memories of those who died on the plane. So I have my summary and my main characters. Will he find peace in his new world? Or did the crash burn all of his hopes for a functional future? And that's the question I'm posing to the reader. I devoured this book, and each page brought on new healing and heartbreak. As Edward questions his future and flashbacks are given of those who died on the plane, I found myself relating with many of the major characters. The author's unique style of alternating narratives allows many members on the plane to tell their individual stories. We come to know and love each of the passengers through these flashbacks. So that is my quick general review. Now I begin with my cons. There were a few cons concerning the minor characters, however. An example can be found in Edward's best friend, Shay, who isn't given the page time that she deserves. In addition, there is a small amount of offensive language, but none that offended me personally. Along these lines, there was also an intimate scene which takes place on an airplane. The novel would have been just as good without it, and it just felt unnecessary. With all of that being said, so my cons are done, and now I am going into my pros. The pros of this book greatly outweigh the cons. The narrator seamlessly flips back and forth between Edward's life and the lives of those who died on the plane. We get to live the final moments of those who flew on Flight 2977. The colorful cast ranges from a single pregnant mother to an elderly dying man. Their individual journeys make this book an addictive read. So I have my overall positives, my pros. I want to end with my meaningful quote and my rating. According to Shay, Edward's best friend, we must learn that everything ends. There's nothing to be sad about. What matters is what starts in this moment. By Ann Napolitano. And I rated it 5 stars. Y'all, I don't give out 5 stars like candy. I just don't. I think that for a book to get 5 stars, I have to essentially just be drooling over the pages, and I just can't put it down. So when I give a book 5 stars, it means that it's worthy. It is worth something for me, not for everybody, but for me. So do the same for you. What is the ultimate book for you? What is going to be 5 stars, and how does this book, the one that you have just read, compare to that? I did highlight my 5-star rating at the bottom. I would appreciate if you did that, but you do not have to, but I would appreciate it. You do not need to highlight your whole paper because the whole thing is your response. But I gave mine 5 stars at the bottom. Be sure that you give yourself a rating, and that's it. So if we're looking at the book review assignment, it is due this Friday by 7 p.m. And when you open up the Google Doc that has been assigned to you, it is just a blank document. So now you are going to begin typing. Be sure that you change the font to Arial or Times New Roman, font size 12. and you're just going to take your organizer and you're going to turn it into a book review. If your organizer is done already, this will take you about 40 minutes. It'll take you about 40 minutes. If it takes you longer than that, then you maybe didn't read the book, or you maybe are having a brain freeze and you need to go work on a different class and then come back to this. But this is unassisted, so it's really important that you get it turned in on time. If you have any questions about this book review, please be sure to let me know. I am here for you. And that's it. That is it for the day. So you were going to submit this book review by Friday, and I will take about a week to grade it, and then I'll get it back to you. All right. So good luck. And that's all I got. All right. Bye, guys. Have a good day.